All right, mic check. We're getting ready to get started. All right, let's get started with our monologue on this episode 66 of Airbnb Pro Tips. First day of the new month. Let's go. So they told us that wealth was locked behind boardroom doors that we would never enter. That freedom was preserved for the privileged, the connected, and the already rich. But let me tell you something, that was a lie. See, we are the generation that's rewriting the rule book. See, we don't need $1 million fund. We don't need a landlord's permission. But what we do need is a blueprint, y'all. That's exactly what I'm about to lay down. This is Airbnb Pro Tips, and I am your host, Earl McCray. Every week, we're breaking down real game from real entrepreneurs on how to launch, automate, and scale that Airbnb business. We're giving you the strategies, the money moves, and the mindset shifts that will separate those from the dreams from those who are executing on those dreams. Here, we celebrate the wins, both big and small. Here, we talk to real entrepreneurs, the one that took action and changed their lives. Here, we're giving you the blueprint so that you can stop watching and start building. So, if you're ready to tap into your God-given ability to turn knowledge into passive income, to create a system that works for you instead of you working for it, hey, welcome home. This is where transformation begins. This is where faith meets execution. This is where you level up your Airbnb game. This is Airbnb Pro Tips. All right, episode 66. We're getting it kicked off. Let's get it. All right, got a lot of information to jump into today. Cornell, how you doing today, brother? How you doing? Mic check.
Mic check, doing well.
Awesome, man. Awesome. We got a lot of information to jump in today. So there's big changes that are going down in the world of short-term rentals, and we're gonna get into it today. When we get into our STRs in the news, but again, as promised, we are dropping the ebook 5 Steps to 5K Without Owning Property. This episode is going to highlight chapter 4, how to properly market and set up the property if you're ready to scale. So that's going to be the theme, if you will, of today's episode. Man, but we got some really interesting stuff in the news cycle and how it relates to the STR. So you ready to jump into this, Cornell?
Yep. Ready to
All right, let's jump. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Today's theme. All right. Airbnb changes. Airbnb changes, followed by the Shannon Sharp fallout. And then we're also going to talk about AirDNA. They report stability in the US STR market. So these are the 3 news articles that we're going to highlight today. Okay, so first and foremost, what's up with Airbnb? Have you heard about this yet, Cornell?
No, not with this. Oh man.
Oh, it's cutting, man, cutting. So effective May 10th, that's 9 days from now, there's some changes, and these changes had sparked significant discussion within the short-term rental community. So the policy emphasizes transparency and guest safety, but it also signals that Airbnb is strategically moving to try to consolidate and control their influence over their ecosystem, particularly when it comes to co-hosting, the co-hosting marketplace. So we're going to look at this quick video, and we're going to chime in. So let's play the video. course, we got
If you host a vacation rental, but you're having a hard time finding,
Will Airbnb force you to stop using your favorite guest portals, digital guidebooks, or Wi-Fi tools that collect guest emails? Will you need to include all your fees, pet fees, cleaning fees, resort fees, directly into your nightly rate? These are the big questions I've heard floating around, causing quite a bit of confusion among vacation rental managers and tech providers right now. Let's try to clear this up. Today I want to talk about Airbnb's new and stricter off-platform and fee transparency policy, effective May 10, 2025. I spent some time looking at the exact wording Airbnb published, and I'll share my interpretation with you. Of course, this is a work in progress, and I'd love to hear your thoughts too. So please let me know in the comments what you think is happening and your understanding of it. Let's try to clarify this for the whole industry. Let's start with fees, because that's really what's impacting hosts immediately. Airbnb says clearly that any mandatory fee you charge must now be fully transparent and included either directly in your nightly rate or clearly listed in the additional charges field on Airbnb. Right? Once again, clearly in your nightly rate or listed in the additional charges. Airbnb is very explicit about what they mean by mandatory fees. Here's exactly what they list: utility fees, extra guest fees, pet fees, resort fees, management fees, destination fees, homeowners association fees, and local taxes if Airbnb does not already collect them. The key takeaway is that your guests must see the exact total they'll pay during booking. No hidden surprises later. If it's something your guest has to pay no matter what, Airbnb demands that it be visible upfront in your listing's pricing structure. So in a way, it's new and not that new, in the sense that it's been a while Airbnb has said they will be enforcing this, that the fact that users can see the price upfront. What's a bit new is really this move towards maybe trying to have this included more and more into the nightly rate. Obviously, again, you could put this into additional charges, but to me, it's very interesting that this is happening. So in a way, it is transparency. That's probably good practice as well, we could imagine. And that's not really what's causing a lot of turmoil, even though you need to make sure you're doing this if you're a host. Now, on to the second big topic, third-party apps and services. Airbnb's new policy explicitly says, and I quote this part exactly, hosts cannot require guests to create accounts or register on other websites, or to install third-party apps to access the property. Listings must be accessible without requiring guests to download additional apps or create external accounts. This is a big deal, right? If you're a host and you rely on tools like smart lock apps that guests must download to enter,
exactly.
or digital guest guidebooks or guest portals requiring mandatory logins, Wi-Fi login pages that collect guest emails for marketing. Airbnb does provide some exceptions, like apps or websites required for legal or compliance reasons, such as guest registrations with local police, like you see in Spain. But those exceptions must be clearly stated upfront in your Airbnb listing and verifiable if Airbnb requests proof.
Loom's superpower is amplifying you, opening up a new world of productivity.
Keep going.
Let's get a bit technical here. This is where it gets tricky, right? I know some tech providers are debating this right now, and I'd love again your insights on this. I read the copy of Airbnb's policy, right? And it mentions specifically third-party apps. Okay, I know what an app is, I think, and other websites. but it does not explicitly differentiate between mobile apps and web apps. Technically speaking, a web app that requires guest registration or login could be considered a prohibited other website. Some providers argue a web-based app, so that does not require downloading from an app store, might still be okay. But honestly, from what Airbnb's exact wording states, I don't see any explicit loophole here. Airbnb seems to be targeting any external platform, mobile or web, that guests must use to access essential information or services related to the stay. Again, the goal is that they don't want people to have to create an account and probably leave their email address so that then you can reuse it later to do some direct booking marketing. That's really the goal here, right?
Bingo.
So if you're a vacation rental tech provider or host, I highly recommend you talk to your tech partner right now and clearly ask, do guests have to register, log in, download anything to access our listings? If so, can you offer an optional registration-free alternative? That's probably the safest way forward based on Airbnb's wording. Also, this change is so big, maybe Airbnb is going to lift some confusion and clarify this, right? Let's see what's going to happen. All these rules, in the end, make it harder to gather guest data from Airbnb stays and use that data later for marketing or direct bookings. The implication is clear. Airbnb wants guest loyalty to remain firmly within their ecosystem, not in yours. My recommendation is, now is the time to double down on your independent direct booking strategy through organic channels like SEO, social media, or clear guest opt-in processes that are completely separate from Airbnb. So there you have it. Big changes around fee transparency and third-party tools, clearer guidelines as well around security deposit. You will see that Airbnb makes it very, very clear that they don't want you basically to ask for a security deposit, but they also have at the same time a caveat if you use some kind of channel manager in PMS. And Airbnb is really about keeping guest interactions strictly on their platform, right? In a way, Airbnb's message is clear, right? And maybe there were some gray zones before, but these are being erased, right? Enforcement will likely tighten, and host and tech providers need to adapt quickly. Now, Airbnb's host marketplace, when hosts were supposed to find third-party services and apps, is supposed to kick around in 2025. So I'm also trying to understand what it means. Like, will they only enable vetted, basically, third-party apps to work, provided they are approved by Airbnb, or is it not going to change? So I feel some kind of uncertainty here. What's happening? Again, what's the whole strategy with the marketplace they want to launch? So let's try to figure this out together. Again, let's not be alarmed. I think we're all trying to look at this, but that could be big. So really, do you think Airbnb's wording is clear enough? Are you already making changes to your fees or to your tech stack? Or maybe you're seeing something I've also missed? Let me know down below in the comments. I'd love your insights.
Okay, man, we got to dive into this. This is a very interesting occurrence. Very interesting. So, Corner, what's your takeaway, brother?
My takeaway from this video is basically he's basically saying that us as hosts we want to or may want to think about doubling down on the fees that we do, but also on if you got direct booking websites or your own PMS or any automated systems that you use, you want to actually do that soon or so, because it looks like what he was explaining on the video, he was saying that Airbnb wants to keep a lot of their customers in their ecosystem, in their universe. So it's like they're doubling down on that. They're trying to make it so where that can only they can be able to control that, and they don't want customers to go off of their platform for them as a business, which I understand that. But he's saying, clear cut and dry, that's basically what they're looking forward to doing. And you had to pretty much play that game. And if you're making any changes or have your own direct website or anything like that, it's up to you to double down on that or start doing that. And he did say also about some Airbnb wants to stop, I believe, something from you taking guest emails or information. I guess lean towards doing your own thing with your own site or anything like that, with your own platform or website or anything like that. But that's the whole gist of what I got, what he was explaining about keeping all their customers inside of that eco universe.
Absolutely. And for those that are out in social media and they're tapping in, I really want to make sure that we kind of talk about every side of this. So there's the host side of it. And obviously, those of you guys who are following us, we're always going to present it from the host side because we understand that STRs and short-term rentals, midterm rentals are an excellent way of insulating yourself from that hamster wheel, that 9 to 5, that journey of the broke. And you not only want to make money, you want to make passive income that you can control from any mobile device on any beach of the world. So it is a very important concept. But then there's the guest side of it, okay? And so it's an interesting dichotomy because, the guests, they're going to Airbnb to find an accommodation. But Airbnb doesn't own any property. they don't have any beds. All Airbnb has is software, y'all. Software. So it's almost like this. I think about it like this. Cornell, have you ever recommended anybody to a restaurant or recommended anybody to dinner?
Yes.
Or to a movie?
Yep.
Okay. So when that recommendation happens, and the person goes to dinner or goes to the movie, do you view that person as your customer or the customer of the restaurant or the movie theater?
So by me recommending them, I think I just give them a recommendation, but I think in this case, the customer would belong to, I guess, wherever they're going to. If I'm right, correct.
You are right. I mean, it's a kind of a childish way of getting it at it. But so as a host, when a person comes to our place and my team goes out of their way to give them a 5-star experience, I don't view that person as an Airbnb guest. I view them as our guests.
That's it.
But Airbnb don't see it that way.
No.
Airbnb don't see them as Earl and Yvonne's guests. They see them as Airbnb's guests.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean? That means they don't want me to have access to their email. They don't want to have me have access to their cell phone. They don't want me to have access to anything that will give them an option of coming directly to me instead of going through the jumping back through the initial way they found me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess many people like me have, we've evolved enough in the business where we realize that, Airbnb, okay, is a great way of getting the business started. But once you mature in the business, you're trying to brand. You're trying to have your own relationship with your own customer. So this is a very interesting thing because at the heart of it, this is what this information is really targeting.
Yeah.
They don't want you to have any communication with your guest platform.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
No, not at all.
Especially for this place.
You might have an email, you might have the cell phone number, but they don't want you to ever use it. Because what they realize is, they're very smart, they're very intelligent. They're going to start creating some software that are going to be tracking, when you ask for the email and how you ask for the email. when you ask for the phone number and how you ask for it, because they want to know, are you trying to take business away from them? I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them all because they're a business too. But just like you pay your percent to Airbnb, I do too as well. So
Yeah.
I feel like I have a right as a host to view the customer as my customer because I'm providing the service.
Yeah. Yeah. The combination. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of this is basically trying to play the game. Don't hate the player. What's to say? Don't hate the player, hate the game. So
Yeah.
Airbnb is reconfiguring expectations. So we just got to be smarter about it. So what are my advice? My advice is really straightforward. When it comes to things like email and phone number, create something where you're proactively getting the information before they even come into your place, as opposed to on the back end asking for the information. You feeling me?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm feeling.
Okay. So before they even come into your place, hey, in the event that there's a challenge with the app, please forward your email and your phone number. That way, our team can access you in the event of an emergency.
Yep.
Now they're not going to really be looking at that. They're going to be looking at after your stay. After the stay, is the host trying to take my customer off the app?
Yeah. They're gonna be
Or
looking at
during
that. Yeah.
or during the stay? During the stay, are they trying to take my customer off the app? So I would say be very careful. And even some of the conversations I've had in the past, I have to be very intentional. And I'm gonna start, kind of training up my AI for my messaging, be
Mhm.
very intentional about how to phrase certain things. Okay. So that's a big thing. Now, the second big thing was the mandatory fees. What's your experience been around that, Cornell? Mandatory fees. Have you kind of shared, like, well, I don't want to put
Well,
words in your mouth, but do you have specific fees that are part of every stay?
only fees I have is cleaning fee and extra guest fee,
Mhm.
really, and that's a rate in category for them to actually choose if they have extra guests or they pay right along with the nightly rate. They pay the actual cleaning fee.
Gotcha. Yep. Gotcha.
Yep.
I truly don't think this is going to be such a big deal for the people that are following us, because we don't really try to bang people or nickel and dime people on the
Mhm.
on fees per se. Now, it's not to say that um we don't have opportunities for guests to have an additional experience.
Mhm.
Meaning what? Meaning, like, if they want, I've said this time and time again, the biggest three ways to enhance the experience for an upcharge is give them an opportunity to check in early, give them an opportunity to check out late, give them an opportunity to drop off luggage, give them an opportunity to, you know, we talked about firewood, we talked about things that impact their social emotional well-being, like a traveling massage therapist or a Reiki provider. But those are additional services, right?
Mhm.
That have nothing to do with the stay. So we call those upcharges. So you can take your hosting to a whole nother level if you get out of the business of just providing a stay and you get into the business of providing an experience. So I would say that is a perfectly legitimate um, move, and it doesn't violate number one or number two.
Yep.
Okay. If we take a look at number three, restrictions on data collection. We talked about this. They're saying the email, they're saying, basically putting them in your database. Now, are you currently using a database at all? a CRM?
I'm not using a CRM, a PMS, but not a CRM that collect like emails or anything.
Okay. All right. All right. It's I'll say it here. I think it's important for you to know who you're serving.
Hmm.
Yeah. So if you're not doing it, I would absolutely say, even if it's as simple as an Excel spreadsheet,
Hmm.
why not? Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Airbnb is saying, no, that's not what we want you to do. We don't want you to
Yeah.
collect any of that. That's our information. I don't
Yep.
know.
That's exactly what they're saying. Yeah. Yep. Like you were saying, collect it on the front end for emergency cases. It'd be great to jot that down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. I
Yep.
see exactly what they're saying. And
All right. I guess a limitation on external tools. So you and I are both at the place in our business where we're using software.
yep.
You're using
Yep.
software to do your pricing.
Yep.
I do too. Um, I'm also now using software to run all of my messaging. You
Yep. Me
know,
as well.
and so there it seems like they want to have a little bit more control on those things, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if this marketplace that Airbnb is talking about hosting is going to be preferred vendors. And so my wonder is with the guys and with the individuals that you or I are already using is not on their vendor list. Now,
Yeah.
is that going to change the way we do business?
Hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. So from the strategic implications, these policies updates are widely interpreted as Airbnb's upcoming co-host marketplace. Okay, this is what we're just talking about. Okay, and literally it's a place for their preferred vendors. By centralizing these services, Airbnb aims to enhance the quality, control, ensure consistent guest experience, and maintain the competitive edge. Um, the community reaction. The hosting community has expressed mixed reactions for these changes. Let's be clear. If you are a new host, if you are just getting into short-term rentals, there's nothing really for you to be worried about because you need Airbnb is what I call, in my opinion, the training wheels, Cornell. When you start riding a bike, you need training wheels or you're going to fall down and hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as you get more and more experience on that bicycle, those training wheels, in effect, slow you down. So for you, Cornell, and for people like you, this is more of a concern because you're not just thinking, I want people to find me on one platform. You're thinking, I want people to find me on 4 or 5 platforms.
Hmm.
So it's Airbnb in addition to other places. So I believe this is a little bit more of a conversation for you and for others. And anyone who's joined the panel, feel free to chime in. I'm not looking at the chat, so you can jump in at any time. So I think the mixed reaction, it depends on where you are in the spectrum. If you're a newbie, you may not have much pushback. But if you've been in the game 3 or 4 years, you might be like, wait a minute. Ultimately, I'm here not to make Airbnb money. I'm here to make me and my family money. You want to chime in with any of that?
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Like hosters ourselves that have been in the game for a while. I definitely agree with that. But I see the direction they're going into is like they're they're more so worried about keeping their customers on their platform or their university versus they seem like they're trying to put systems and automations into place to not get them to go away from their ecosystem at all, but they're doing it in a strategic way, if I'm correct.
Correct. I'm tracking absolutely. All right. Here are recommendations for those out there or those catching this replay. Recommendation number one, review, update, and modify all listings. Ensure that all fees are clearly stated within the Airbnb design fields and remove any mention of additional charges in the descriptions. So in place of the word charges, I'm looking at a really interesting email from one of my third-party providers, and their recommendation is replace words like take guest requests, collect vital information like extra guest name, pet size, or check-in time. These requests will organize. Okay, hold on. I'm reading the wrong feature. Okay, what we are doing to help. Actually, hold on. Request. Okay. Okay, what you should do before May 10th. Here you go. Okay, remove any language that promotes off-site booking. So this is something I got to do because I have my direct booking in some of my messaging, and I'm just going to remove it out, take it out before now. And between now and May 10th, my direct site will no longer be in my messaging.
Okay.
Right. Okay. This includes language. Now, also, they're suggesting that you take things like pay the pet fee or reimbursed or the collection link, and you change, and I'm going to start doing this. You're going to change the wording to book an extra night, stick to upgrade, use words like upgrades, add-ons, and guest request. So that's what I intend to do. Anything that says something about fee is going to be replaced with the word upgrades. Anything that asks to talk about a link, I'm going to replace it with the word add-on.
Okay.
So it's in addition to, it's beyond just to stay. So the other steps for hosts is in the communication. This is kind of what we just said. Okay, from a communication standpoint, refrain from directing guests to external platforms or requesting personal contact information outside the Airbnb messaging system. And then the final part was evaluate third-party tools. Assess which tool and consider transitioning to an Airbnb integrated solution. Again, if you're new, this really doesn't affect you. For others, you got to be very intentional. Okay. And because here's the thing, say we have a service right now. I'm just playing the cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
You and I, we pay to have AI on board. It can be as much as, $25 listing. It can be as little as $5 a listing, depending on the service. Airbnb will provide a service as well, but what if that service is way more than we're already paying? I'm just saying. I'm not interested in paying more. I don't want more overhead. I want less.
Yeah, less overhead.
Yeah. So I don't know. All right. So keeping abreast of Airbnb policies and updates and the launch of the co-hosting marketplace, so we can be strategic in its adaptation. So, that's that story. I guess for you, what's your final thoughts before we move on?
My final thoughts is basically what you were saying, just to start collecting the data from the guests up front, and then start positioning ourselves to take out that certain language in our description, and just comply with everything's going on, but taking that data from the guests so we can use that later, but just to have that good information for our clients. That's what I take from that. But yeah, I see definitely the direction they're trying to go into, And it's just like by them not owning any properties, they're still trying to keep everything in their universe because they're like the middleman, as you already know. They're in the middle, so they need us as hosts and they need guests. So they, but they still, I believe, and you probably believe that they're still more guest friendly.
Absolutely. You said it best. They make a ton of money because they are the middleman. They connect the guests with the service provider. And they want to control that relationship. So it's just something to think about.
Definitely something to think about.
All right. So we're gonna go from something that this in my opinion, super serious. It's something that is not as serious to me, and hopefully it's not as serious to you guys, but it's pretty serious to Shannon Sharpe. So poor Shannon Sharpe. Have you heard this story yet, Cornell?
Yeah, I heard about him.
Okay. So a woman that's, I don't even want to say half his age, like a third of his age,
Yep.
is being described in her early 20s. Now Shannon is in his 50s. She submitted a complaint anonymously on Sunday seeking $50 million. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
In damages. She says in a lawsuit that Sharpe 56 raped her in her apartment in October and January, and get this, and recorded it.
Oh.
All right, let's take a look at the link.
Hey, if you are an active real estate investor, but like many have been on the sidelines because you are dealing with issues
on X yesterday, and they spoke about, they mentioned her name, and they revealed some of those explicit text messages. That was uncomfortable.
That's what that is right there, because a 54-year-old person with that much to lose should not be talking to a 19-year-old. Like, listen, it may be legal, but just common sense should say, you know what?
I do not think that the rape element is true. I do think that he has been behaving sloppily.
The fallout continues for Shannon Sharpe. After losing his multi-million-dollar contract amid shocking rape allegations, the Hall of Famer turned media personality is now seeing his reputation crumble even further. What was once a thriving career in sports commentary and entertainment is now hanging by a thread. Even those who initially showed some sympathy towards Sharpe are now backtracking, with critics and former allies openly calling him out. The court of public opinion is turning fast, and Sharpe's grip on the industry seems to be slipping away. So what's next for Shannon Sharpe? Is there any coming back from this, or is this the beginning of the end for one of the most outspoken voices in sports media? Let's break it all down.
By the way, if you hook up with a girl on OnlyFans, it's guaranteed this is going to happen. This is a 99% chance this will happen.
Absolutely, but how green is Shannon Sharpe? He's not a rookie.
The controversy surrounding Shannon Sharpe has drawn reactions from some of the biggest names in media, including Andrew Schultz and Charlemagne Tha-God. Both didn't hold back in their analysis, and their takes were brutal. Andrew Schultz took a particularly harsh stance, arguing that Sharpe's situation was almost inevitable due to his own negligence. If you're dating an OnlyFans star, come on, what did you expect? Schultz claimed, suggesting that Sharpe should have seen the risk coming. Meanwhile, Charlemagne criticized Sharpe for what he called a reckless lack of judgment. Shannon's not some rookie in the game. He's been around long enough to know better, he said, implying that Sharpe walked right into a trap that could have been avoided.
This ain't a 19-year-old, this is a 24-year-old mistake. He ended up in a situation like this. How is this 19-year-old, 22-year-old woman now able to line him up?
Andrew Schultz didn't mince words when reacting to Shannon Sharpe's ongoing scandal. He zeroed in on what he sees as glaring hypocrisy in Sharpe's actions. Shannon's always talking about how careful he is with single women, how he avoids the drama, but then he turns around and gets involved with an OnlyFans star. Schultz called out, questioning Sharpe's judgment and integrity. But Schultz didn't stop there. He took it a step further, arguing that Sharpe should have known the risks. Let's be real, if you're dealing with women in that space, you're paying one way or another. Whether it's upfront or through drama later, they're getting their bag, he said, suggesting that Sharpe was naive to think he could walk away unscathed.
You said, how green is it? And I was like, a mile?
Man,
All right. I mean, we seen a little bit of the clip. Go ahead and weigh in, Cornell.
Oh man, I think he should have should have known better. But I mean, that's outrageous, 50 million. Wow. Um, I'm just wondering, how he's going to get out of this. I believe I seen a video with his lawyer speaking on it, and this, speaking on what's right, what's wrong, and how could he get caught up with this? Man, maybe he should have known better. Wow. Yeah, but then again, maybe she could have known better.
Well,
But
I mean, go ahead.
no, I was saying, what's your thoughts on it?
I think my biggest takeaway is this. I don't think a 19, 20, I don't know how old she is, 20, 24. I don't think they have the social and emotional experience or the intelligence of knowing right from wrong. I don't.
Yeah.
Especially, if they haven't been brought up in a household where that's been the cornerstone. Now, I do believe time and experience gives you enough wisdom where you figure it out. But Shannon Sharp is 56 years old.
Yeah.
That brother's been around the son long enough to know that probably wasn't a good move. And so so here's the STI implication for those that are following the show. We have a very strict protocol when it comes to recording devices. So we do use cameras, y'all. We do have technology that will, tell us how loud a particular guest is. But here's the thing, man. Shannon, he was his own worst enemy because now he was recording all of this via video and audio. So so when you get into these weird, scenarios where, and you see it on these crime shows where you have someone who is found up unconscious or dead because, part of their sex scenario involves here's the safe word. you got to use the safe word. And then I'll stop. Whether it's, strangling somebody. There's a lot of weirdness. It's not a part of my DNA, but a lot of people do a lot of extracurricular things to be a little extra freaky. And it sounds like this allegation kind of revolved around his kinky sex acts. So when you record it, you put yourself, I mean, she should ask for 50 million.
Yeah.
Because it's all there on video, on all audio.
Yeah, it's all
it's there. So, so if you're operating an STR, guys, bottom line is this: the video cameras are only for the outside.
Yes.
Back door. Make sure you have no recording devices at all inside the property. Point blank, period. People actually have, these are facts. They have gone to jail for violation of folks' privacy in that way. Okay. And if you use the technology to measure the sound, you got to clearly have that information labeled in the listing. So that's all I wanted to add there. But very interesting. It was all over the news cycle. I think he had his cable TV show. He resigned from it. I think he was asked to resign from it because they were going to fire him, and they were reportedly paying him 100 million, some crazy.
Wow.
Something crazy. All right. So we're gonna get out of the news cycle now. We're gonna get out of the news cycle. AirDNA just talked about that our occupancy is expected to make a steady gain towards pre-pandemic levels of around 56% by the end of 2025. Good news. More occupancy means more revenues for the host. So that is a good story. All right. So we're gonna leave the news cycle. We're gonna talk about Man, we were on this topic longer than I expected. We're almost at the top of the hour. So we might not get to segment 3, 4, 5, but we at least want to talk about Airbnb fun facts. And again, this theme is focusing on chapter 4 of the ebook, how to properly market. And the goal is to set up for scale. So let's get into it, Cornell. All right. So here's 10 common marketing mistakes that Airbnb should avoid. Okay. All right. So mistake number 1, ignoring nearby attractions in your listings. Cornell, it is a mistake to failing to highlight local landmarks and attractions because they can make your listing less appealing. Okay. Instead, mention proximity to popular places, 5 minutes from this destination, 10 minutes from that destination, because they're going to attract the guests who are looking for convenience. Can you speak on that a little bit, Cornell?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Highlighting those local landmarks and attractions, and definitely highlight, like you said, highlight the distance that attract somebody that's looking to be that close. For example, minutes away from the beach or downtown, or away from the hospital. That attract that exact person, because some people want to know how far you are from those actual destinations that they're looking to go. So that's definitely great, something that you don't want to leave out.
Fun fact, guys, people, especially American people, we are so driven by convenience, we will pay more for it. Convenience is everything as an American. So if you can speak in terms of convenience when you're creating your listings, that marketing will make your spot pop. It will make it pop. All right, let's keep going. All right, number 2, mistake, using low quality or misleading photos. It is a mistake uploading dark, blurry, or dated images, and it can deter potential guests. Instead, invest in professional photography to showcase your space accurately and attractively. You want to speak on that a little bit, Cornell?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Not having those blurry and dark, outdated images. You want to have those bright and nice, crisp images to give that experience, but also like you want to actually showcase that professional photography that you took versus having a low light, dim image with low quality blemishes in the pictures. So that's definitely important. I definitely agree with that.
Now for you, are you still getting your professional photos from an Airbnb vendor, or do you kind of break away and are you using your own vendor at this point?
Well, I did use Airbnbs before, but then I used my own vendor as well to get some pictures and do a lot more. So yeah, I did both.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, my advice is, if you don't have a professional in your area that you're aware of and you don't want to research it, go ahead and use the Airbnb. I mean, it's a great way to get started, but to not do professional photos is a kiss of death, because all the competitors that are on page 1 and page 2, that's what they're doing. There's very few listings that have any sort of traction past that. You'll get a 30-day bump, a 45-day bump, where Airbnb will artificially keep you on page 1. But after that 45-day cycle, if people haven't responded to your listing, you're gonna fade away. Page 4, page 5, page 6, and then people won't be able to find you at all. Invest in the professional photos is all I'm really suggesting. Okay, let's talk about number 3. The third mistake is an incomplete amenity list. Look, advertising amenities that aren't available can lead to guest dissatisfaction. Okay. Instead, only list amenities that are fully set up, functional to ensure guest expectations are met. Instead, mention proximity. Okay, actually, that was a little bit of a typo. All right, so speak on this a little bit, because I will say I fall somewhere in the middle. With respect to your amenities, do you only list the amenities that you currently have in the house at the moment that the guest takes possession?
Yeah, I do. I actually have all the amenities listed. So at the moment when they get in, they know exactly what the amenities is in there versus having just amenities when they actually show up. That's not on the description listing.
Yeah, yeah. True confession. I'm just keeping it real. When we didn't have the resources, when we didn't necessarily have a lot of extra stuff stacked up, I would list the amenities and I would wait for a person to book. Once they book and say they needed that air mattress that we talked about in the listing, the moment they booked and they requested it, guess what I went to the store and did? I got the air mattress.
Yep, I hear that.
Okay. So I'm saying that there is a little bit, in my opinion, and it's only an opinion, I think there's a little bit of a middle ground that you can take. There's a phrase that I kind of believe. The phrase is you sell it and then you build it. Let me say it again. You sell it and then you build it. A lot of times we build things and then try to sell it. What I'm suggesting is, if you know what your competitors are doing and you're looking at their listings and your competitors have this amenity and that amenity, I would recommend you add that amenity to your listing as well. And then, optimize it as you go. As you go, make it a part of because we didn't start with wine glasses and everything at all of our properties, but they're there now.
Yeah.
You tracking?
I'm tracking.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the fourth mistake. Overloading the space with personal decor. All right. So excessive personal items or an eccentric decor can make the guest feel like an intruder. Instead, aim for a clean, neutral aesthetic that allows guests to envision themselves in the space. What's your thoughts on that, Cornell?
Shit, my thoughts on that. Oh man, nice place to stay. Yeah. Instead, use specific description titles such as cozy, which I think is good because those are keywords like cozy, for example, with that everybody wants to stay in a cozy space. And by that, especially the different keywords says 2 bedroom. Some people are looking, for those two beds, or say that right in the title to let people know this is a queen or a king size bed, 2 beds, 5 minutes away from Central Park, free parking. All those are key type of golden words because people are looking for keywords: free parking, fully stocked kitchen, things like that, cozy, all these keywords to peek out these amenities so they can see it right up front. So that's a great tip, and I agree with that. Using those titles.
Yeah, absolutely. The more information that you can convey in your title, the better. I mean, literally. And to my credit, I probably should rework my titles a little bit, and give a little bit more of a sense of the amenity and the title. I was doing that. I kind of got away from that because you kind of go through a little bit of seasons as you try to make your listing pop a little bit. You change things up, but that is something that it is wise for everybody to do. Let's go to 6 and 7 because we're a little bit over time, but I do want to get through these last 4 suggestions. Okay. This is a mistake, hiding additional fees. This is a mistake, omitting key amenities. You want to speak on that, Cornell?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a mistake how the additional fees should definitely be to up front because it could lead to a surprise and I guess leaving a negative review on your place and them not knowing because it's hidden. So I definitely agree on keeping that clearly and available and mentioned up front so your guests will know. And also failing to admit that you don't have Wi-Fi, air conditioning, or parking, anything like that, because they can overlook that stuff. That's what guests are definitely looking for. So I definitely agree with that, and it's definitely a mistake to leave that hidden and not disclosed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's get to 8, 9. All right, mistake 8, using poor quality photos for the amenities, and 9, neglecting guest communications. Speak on those 2 topics as well, Cornell.
Using I know we gently touched on poor quality photos for the amenities. You want to make sure they're high resolution instead of low resolution, which it's just more pleasing to the eye and it makes it look better in general. Just when it comes to quality of the photo. And
a funny pet peeve for my wife and I, Cornell, is when we go to Airbnb listings and they have a picture of the bathroom and the toilet is up. The toilet seat is up. That's a turn off.
That's a turn off.
That's a turn off. Or sometimes you look through Airbnb photos and you'll see a person's personal stuff, like a sneaker or a book bag, and they're in the photo. Like,
oh my gosh,
what were they thinking?
Yeah, what were they thinking? I see that all the time and some other people, and then the photo has to be low quality. It's like, what are they thinking? But when you look at some of these people, their like calendars are empty or they don't have any traction because of that. And I agree on the responding promptly too, because if you get an inquiry and you respond 2-3 hours later, that person's just going to move on to somebody else. If you don't respond with the urgency, they like the urgency of the response that could definitely land you the actual inquiry, turn it into an actual reservation. So definitely that's
absolutely. One of the things that my wife and I recently did is, similar to Price Labs, we invested in a third-party provider for communication services. And let me tell you what this Hospitables allows you to do. It allows you to anticipate any guest request, any guest question, and you kind of build it into the database, and the AI will respond anytime in real time, right? There's like very little delay. If they ask about parking, a response is for that. If they ask about staying a day extra, a response automatic. So like by the time you look at your notification, the AI has already responded.
Yes, I definitely agree. Using Hospitable, they respond to airport questions or right away on automatic. As soon as the AI senses a question like that, so that's is great. I don't know if Airbnb has any integrations like that, but I know Hospitable definitely does.
Yeah. So it really gives you an edge when it comes to that guest communication, because if you do not, I don't think there's a burden in responding too much in terms of a negative review, but there's absolutely a burden in not responding at all. So if you got to be on one side of the spectrum versus the other, definitely be that one that responds all the time and anytime. All right, here's the final mistake, and we're going to wrap this up. Ignoring guest reviews. Talk to me about that, Cornell.
Oh yeah, ignoring guest reviews. Not addressing feedback is a mistake. Addressing feedback is always good too, even if they leave you a negative review, because it allows you to actually clarify what happened with the guest. So why did they leave a negative review? And then also when another potential guest looks at your review and they see that you replied, they can get attention like, okay, you replied to it, you trying to fix the situation, or you fixed it, or you worked it out. So they would know that you're replying back to the review versus just letting it sit up there like you would just leave it unattended. So it's definitely carefully respond back to those
absolutely
views, and it's shown right on the list in the front too when you respond, so people can see.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. All right, well, yeah, guys, so we're at the top of the hour. We did go over a little bit, but that's a wrap for episode 66, the Airbnb Pro Tips. In our session today, we wanted to talk about what was going on real time with some changes in the Airbnb ecosystem. We did have fun at Shannon Sharp's expense, but again, what you don't do is record. you don't put people in that situation because it will circle back like a boomerang. And
Okay.
and we did take a moment to talk about the marketing, things that you should not do to effectively market. But we got to get out of here. We appreciate rocking out with you. If you want to reach out, Cornell, what's your social media contact so people can reach you if they have a question about short-term rentals or your Airbnb journey? How can they reach you?
Yeah, definitely can reach me right here on Facebook. Really just Facebook is under my Facebook name, which is Nels Rochelle, which is Nellz Rochelle. Or I'm even on Instagram also. You can reach me at Nels_17 right on IG. Asking any questions about short-term rentals or even how to get inside of the game and start, taking advantage of, like you were saying before, turning your time into passive income. And so you can start having your funds, which is your money, employed for you versus you employ for it. So that's the two platforms that you can reach me on to any questions or any comments or anything. And I can get right back to you and I'll respond to you and actually address anything that you have on actually get you straight on, get your questions answered.
Absolutely. And for me, guys, it's realrelief.com. You can get the free ebook, 5 Steps to 5K without owning property. But hey, that's a wrap on our session today, Airbnb Pro Tips. And as we close every time, Cornell, we tell the good people, be blessed. But more importantly,
Be a blessing.
be a blessing to others. All right, take care, everybody. Take care.
Take care.